It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, you see I have Trish Judge in that sharp interactive board, but today's a special day, folks. It's my birthday, and I thought to myself, I got to do something special on the end of the day with Ray for my birthday. So I reached out, and I found an executive that works for a major OEM headquartered in Europe, and the gentleman agreed to come to the studios of the end of the day with Ray. This is amazing, folks. I mean, I've had people on the sharp interactive board, and Trish is one of them. How you doing, Trish? But
I'm great, Ray. Happy birthday.
Thank you. But to have a guest actually in the studio sitting in the chair is going to be really, really cool. But ladies and gentlemen, there's a couple things we had to do to negotiate this, because this is an informant working for a major OEM. We're not allowed to say who the OEM is, unfortunately. And we're not allowed to show the face of the informant. And a lot of you are thinking, well, can you say his name? We can say his name. We will say his name. Actually, this individual's mother is a movie star. This is an interesting story about this informant. His family was in this printer business for a long time, the roots of it. Without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get the guest, because the other condition was that I could not be on the set with the informant. And that was from Trish Judge. She's the lawyer. She's doing this deposition kind of a thing, and we didn't want to have me kind of interfering with that. So, Trish, I'm going to turn it over to our informant. He'll be here in 1 second. Let me go get him. Hello, Trish Judge. I'm so happy to be here from Europe. It's awesome to be in the end of the day with Ray Studio. Unbelievable. I watched a couple of your interviews. Amazing, amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.
Well, it's wonderful to have you here today, sir, and thank you for agreeing to join us on this important day, which is Ray's birthday. I understand that your mother is an actress?
Oh, this is such an amazing story, you know? So first I got to tell you that Mr. Ray, the end of the day with Ray guy, a very nice guy. People say, you know, Mr. Ray's a bad guy. He's a nice guy. He put me in the front seat of the plane all the way from Europe. I did not know that Southwest flew from Europe, but I was there. I was A1, right in the front row. But I come to the studio, and I talking to Ray about my mom and my dad and the print of business, and he's like amazed because he didn't realize how tight we were. So my mother's an actress. She worked for the James Bond series. Have you ever seen the James Bond?
Oh, absolutely. Every one of them.
Oh, it's amazing, my mom. And her name, her stage name is actually her real name, and her name was Octopussy. Have you seen that show?
I love Octopussy.
It was amazing. So my mom, she said, oh, you know, your name would be Harry. So my name is Harry.
Oh, let's just call you HP.
HP for short. Everybody says that, Trish. I tell them the story about the mom, and they say, you got to call you HP. You know, my dad, he went through the same thing because he's Harry Sr. But anyway, where this comes from, this whole family into the print business, is my father was the man that backed the car out of the garage. There was a garage, there was some guys, they were going to fix some printers and make some printers and change the world with print. They had a garage, but there was a broken car in the garage. My dad, a mechanic, he fixed the car, then he backed the car out of the garage, opened the garage up for the shelving and all the work and the tools to then build the printers. So you could say that my dad was very important in the introduction and the manufacturing of all print equipment.
Clearly, a very integral part of your OEM existence.
It's amazing, but there's more to the story, I got to tell you, because my mom, she's very upset with the dad because she blames the climate change on this big OEM that I work for. And she says, you got to help set this straight, the record straight, because your dad, he was very instrumental in this. If you hadn't backed the car out, we wouldn't be wasting the world and the environment and making people use the OEM toner and all that kind of stuff. And I don't believe that my dad had that problem. But here, I'll tell you, Trish, you got some very good people in your industry. As my dad lay dying in the bed, our friends from Clover, they come to the hospital and they tell my dad, it's not your fault you backed the car up. It's the OEM you work for. They're ruthless people. You did not know that they would not allow people to remanufacture or reuse a cartridge. How did you possibly know that? And so don't be upset about it. And, you know, they came with somebody else, our friend Chris Pollock. Do you know Chris Pollock from Pollock and Pollock? He was there at the hospital too. They brought my dad a cake, and I'm like, why do you bring my dad a cake? He's dying. And Jim Sirkleski from Clover says, well, Chris Pollock, he has these birthday cakes, he does these birthday things, and they didn't want the cake, so they brought it to the hospital. Anyway, I digress. But I'm telling you, the facts of the matter are, this OEM that I work for, Trish, is a terrible, terrible company because they're doing all kinds of things to prevent people from reusing a cartridge. And we got to set the record straight. And you ask me any question, and I'll answer it truthfully.
Well, that's great, because one of my questions is, how do you claim environmental superiority in the sale of a new cartridge over the reuse of one that's been remanufactured? How can you claim that?
I will tell you this from the bottom of my heart, that I sit in these rooms, these boardrooms, and I listen to this bullshit these people say. So what they do is they hire these greenwashing people. This is a skill set. These are Harvard graduates, very smart people, these people. They are not coming from a community college. These are very smart people. They come in and they help us greenwash all our messages. I don't know if you know this, but at this particular OEM that I work for, you're not allowed to say the word recycling. Because if you say the word recycling in the offices, they automatically think you're talking about the Clover Imaging, and they don't like the Clover Imaging people. They do not like the people there. They don't like them as much as they hate at the end of the day with Ray. But if you say environmental friendly, then everything kind of works out pretty good, because you can't be environmentally friendly unless you cause a problem to the environment. So the philosophy of this particular OEM that I work for is to let's screw up the economy, or the environment, if you will. Let's force people to take a cartridge out of their printer because we push the firmware as an example. They have to take the cartridge out, throw it in the trash can, put the OEM one in. What do we got to do? We got to send a truck. So what we do at the OEM is we help the trucking companies put better tires on the trucks, because we know they're going to be shipping a bunch of toner to people's houses unnecessarily, but it doesn't affect our OEM sales. That's how we do this stuff.
Well, regarding these firmware updates, sir, what is the legitimate printing function that is enhanced by these firmware updates?
Absolutely nothing. This is the beauty of the greenwashing people. You get the smart people, they tell you, you know what else? Because here's the reality. Because my mom is an actress, we understand theatrics very well. I think I say that right? Theatrics? And so what we do, these greenwashing smart people, is they teach us how to do things to make people get emotionally excited about something that's absolutely senseless or worthless. So we tell them that if you don't push out the firmware, the printer will allow the prints to go to the Russian barn. Now, think about this. Do we want people today to think about their prints going to a Russian barn in this environment we live in?
No, I don't think we do.
Well, that's exactly what these people come up with. They come up with these crazy-ass schemes and things, and they try to lie to people because they don't have any innovation at this big, giant OEM. The innovation and the patents are all about the chips and the toner cartridge. And it's just crazy stuff.
Well, and you, as long as we're on the topic of the environment, how does your Amplify program actually help the environment?
Amplify, well, I can't commit that it's an Amplify program at the particular OEM that I'm at, but if I will tell you this, the Amplify program, if it was at the OEM that I'm at, would be total bullshit. It would not make any sense whatsoever. It's just the words that the greenwash people tell us to use. They come up with these words, the amplify word. So, I mean, think about the word amplify. It sounds very nice. It sounds like it's good for the environment. We're going to amplify the beauty for the environment instead of saying we're going to cause the environment and we're going to cause tornadoes and flooding because we don't have any respect for the environment. Does that make sense? Not really, but that's what OEMs want to do.
Not particularly, but coming from an OEM, I expect a lot of gobbledygook.
Especially these overreaching people.
Decades.
Crazy stuff. Ask me anything, Trish.
Okay, you also claim that a hacker one of the justifications for firmware is that a hacker can get into your computer through the printer.
This is so exciting to talk about this. I don't know, Mr. Ray said on the end of the day with Ray, every once in a while you could say some kind of maybe a little bit of a bad word, that I don't want to say the bullshit too much. But I will tell you that sometimes when you hear this stuff, you got to scratch your head and say, where are these people coming from? And so I think what we should do as an industry outside of the OEM that I work for, because the OEMs, they will never do this, but we need to get really smart computer people to tell the world this is all crap. that this is all about trying to force a reseller to use their particular toner. And it's totally insanity. It's insanity, and I don't know where there's any basis. I have never heard a story where somebody hacked into a printer because they didn't get a firmware update. I think the firmware updates are relevant to the hacking into the printer. It's just logical to me.
Interesting logic, sir. Convoluted, but interesting.
Well, these OEMs that are overreaching, they just make crap up because they're big. And the analysts in the industry, oh my God, these people. We bring them to the offices and have parties. I've seen these parties. And we make them happy and we tell them whatever they want to hear and they copy and paste it into their blogs and everybody thinks it's true. It's amazing.
Well, if your company were to sell subscriptions, and they might sell subscriptions, there have been reports that subscriptions are like wildfire. They're spreading like crazy. But do you have any actual numbers? Anything to back that up?
This is the amazing story. I was in the boardroom when they talk about the subscriptions. Everybody wants a subscription. These people are so stupid. So what they do is they say, let's get the subscriptions. And the other executives are saying, don't sell the subscriptions. We're already selling the toner. Why do you give them a subscription? It's the same amount of money. Nothing changes. And they say, no, we got to do the subscription so we can force them to buy the toner. And I say, well, that doesn't matter because if they don't print, they don't need the toner. The bottom line, subscriptions. You go on their website, or they just send you the email. You've seen the email, Trish. You get the emails like I get the emails every day. HP, buy the subscription, 99 cents. Who the hell buys a subscription 99 cents? Some of the subscriptions are free 6 months. Do I cancel after the 6 months? Do they say that I bought it when I did the 6 months? This whole subscription thing is pure. I got to say it again, Chris. I got to say the word. It's bullshit. And the reason I believe it's bullshit is because they never ever say anything about the subscriptions. They just make it up. So that's my opinion on it. I think it's total trash.
Why, sir, does your company seem so intent on disrupting the consumer's printing experience with all of this nonsense?
Because they don't understand that the people want to help the environment. They don't understand that people just want to do what's right by the world. They just want to sell a cartridge. If this big OEM that I supposedly work for doesn't sell the cartridge, guess what? The stockholders, they do not get happy. And if the stockholders do not get happy, then what happens? People get fired. And if people get fired, oh my God, the world ends. There's 2 rules at this big OEM. There's 2 rules. Don't ever like anything that's put on the internet from the end of the day with Ray. Number 1 rule. If you put a thumbs up, you get a boot out. You put a thumbs up, you get a boot out. That's number 1 rule. The other rule is we never talk about the recycling. We always talk about the environment, and we try to skirt the whole entire damn issue. We make up a whole bunch of nonsense about how people bought from us because we're environmental protectionists and all of this stupid stuff. People believe it. People believe it because we have no innovation whatsoever. But we do have some innovation coming. I'd like to share that with you because maybe the resellers out there can prepare themselves because this could cause some problems.
Well, what is this innovation?
We hear that the Ford is coming out with the Zoom in the Ford car. We heard this on the TV, right? You heard this? The Zoom is going to be in the car. I almost said the name of the OEM. But where I work, we're coming out with MPS Chevy. MPS Chevy. We believe that you will print in your car on the way to and from the hybrid office. And we want to make sure that you have a managed print services program in your Chevy. This is a brand new innovation. We're using DCA technologies that are coming from distributors to help us manage and monitor the prints that's in the car. We'll know where you went. We're going to know how long you were there. We're going to know if you printed anything on the way there and on the way home. We need this information because the more information we get from a dealer, the more we can screw with the dealer and the more we can try to take away the customer. Now, these are things, because I'm an informant, we're not going to tell the world that we're doing this, that we're stealing data, we're trying to get customer stuff. We just do it because we're this big, giant OEM, and no one holds us accountable. Except for you, Trish.
Well, sir, I think you've done a wonderful job of explaining your position perfectly. I can't think of a better birthday present for Ray than to have you on today.
Well, let me just go tell Ray I'll get him back over here. Thank you, Trish. It was so great to meet you. I got to get back on the Southwest plane, back to Europe. Hang on one second.
Well, have a great flight. The International Imaging Technology Council thanks you for sharing your time with us.
Trish, it was so great to have Harry on. He's an interesting character, I told you he was. Folks,
Well, he is
let's
that.
give it up for Harry. I mean, this guy went out of his way to come on the end of the day with Ray and share with Trish all these crazy things his company's doing. But Trish, in all seriousness, you know, maybe he couldn't say the name of the company, but why is HP so egregious in what they're doing with this firmware pushing all this crazy stuff? It's got to stop, right?
Well, at the end of the day, Ray, the poor consumer is getting caught in the crossfire and being lied to. The greenwashing is just over the top. Obviously, reuse is the highest form of recycling. So a remanufactured cartridge has got it so over on a new one. And companies like Clover are doing the right thing by the environment. And, HP is, as we reported last week with Joe Crookley, he had to throw away 5 perfectly good cartridges. 5.
Total stuff.
Those go right
Crazy.
into the landfill.
Well, I think we need to get with the computer people. I'm going to work on this. I want to get some more information around this. I know a lot of people in that space, but we need to find out and really be able to articulate it into the marketplace. And, if there's anybody watching this can help us with this, but we really want to be able to articulate it in the marketplace around these firmwares. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if it was up to me, I would turn off these automatic updates. Seriously, I don't know. Just turn them off, folks. If you turn off the automatic update, it doesn't allow them to push that firmware out. Keep your damn toner in there. People aren't going to hack into your printer. And if here's what I'll tell you. I would tell you to get with your IT team and have them look at the printer and talk to them about this, because this is just pure insanity. I think we should
and there are steps on our website. We've got a step-by-step download on how to turn off the automatic updates. So anybody that wants to go to i-itc.org or email me and I'll get you that information. But absolutely, if you turn off the automatic updates, because those updates don't do anything. As your guest just said, there's no legitimate business or a printing function that's enhanced by these automatic updates that I can discern.
Well, I can't either, and obviously that informant thought it was nothing. I'll tell you what, we need to get some more informants, I guess, is what we're going to have to do. Definitely. Trish, it's always great having you on, because we got to keep warning people. Don't listen to all the nonsensical theater coming out of HP. Listen to my theater, because I tell you the way it is. They're telling you stuff. Well, they're telling you stuff so they can sell more of their OEM toner, and they can continue to try to destroy our beautiful planet. Trish, anything you want to add?
Nothing. It's a pleasure to be on your program, and please buy remanufactured cartridges and save the planet.
Reused cartridges are so much better than the OEMs. Ladies and gentlemen, because we all know this, status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo, and I'll see you all tomorrow.